Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Howard Nima, and thank you for listening to Truth Talk News here on United FM Radio with my co-host and slash engineer slash owner of United FM Radio, Keith Much, behind the controls, and Mel Roy producing. We are back again talking about all things New World Order. A lot of stuff going on in the world, volatile markets, China devaluing the currency, Hillary Clinton being ignored because she's a criminal and everyone should ignore her. People rallying around Trump. I mean, he's filling up football stadiums. He's got a lot of support. The Pope wants, he wanted to come into the United States through the Mexican border so that he could add to the propaganda, the communist propaganda. But, they're not allowing that, or at least it didn't. He had wanted to do that. He is meeting with illegal aliens. He's supposed to, at least. I don't know. This country's, if you don't have a border, there is no country, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's just a simple thing as that. And then there's the lie about the 14th Amendment. Nowhere in the 14th Amendment does it say that if you're born here, you're a citizen. That's just propaganda that's been believed and pumped into people's heads because, just like Goebbels said, I mean, repeat a lie, long enough, big enough, and the people will believe it. The Nazis built their regime. We're going to be talking a lot about Nazis later on. I'm going to go into the, as I promised, into the MK Ultra mind control program. And there's really a lot of information, very informative broadcast, so stay tuned for an important information piece. Again, so what's been going on with you there, Keith? How you doing?
Not much. I've been watching the news. It's been quite active lately.
Yeah, what's been going on? Fill me in. I've been doing research for MK Ultra all day.
Let's see. In New York, some gunmen attacked another. This is off the top of my head, by the way. In New York City, I believe a gunman attacked the another federal building.
Oh, really? Where was this?
New York City.
Oh, in the city.
Yeah, I'll have details up soon.
It's not on Drudge.
And then the Dow Jones dipped 500, and in the article I read, they're talking about the...
oh, yeah, they can go down to 5,000, bringing the just currency collapse, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're talking about it rippling throughout the world. I guess currencies are...
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been talking about this for 5 years. And this is this is how they work. This is how they do it. All right, keep going. All right, so I didn't even realize
I guess this thing that happened with the United States, the United States dollar keeps on going up, but it's causing a ripple effect throughout the economies worldwide. And also, China is there's talks about China running less exports to the United States. So maybe this might affect this Christmas when you want to buy your kid the next new Xbox or Sony PlayStation.
No, yeah, it definitely is going to affect that.
It's
a war, an economic war is going on, ladies and gentlemen. The silent weapons for quiet war is an economic war on we the people, and this is an example of it, destabilizing the markets. The stock market's like a crazy. It's up 200 points, down 500 points, up 100 points, down 100 points.
And Donald Trump wants to build a huge wall to block out all the illegal aliens.
Yeah, well,
he's
something.
Going on and on about that.
Yeah, well, something. I think psychologically that wouldn't be such a bad thing because if you actually took all the laws that they're just ignoring, none of this would happen. There's an agenda because both sides win. You see, the conservative wing gets their cheap labor. The progressive communist wing they get their voting block. So it's a win-win situation, and that's why it continues. There's really no opposition to it. They talk about opposition because the only people opposed to it, Keith and Mel, are people like you and me. It's us. We oppose it because we know that our culture, our borders, and our language, we're no longer a country, and they're working for all of this world system, the world government. The Pope is trying to do it. Come on, for God's sakes. Calling for a new world order. It's insane. But this currency thing is big. I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at an article on Drudge here. It says currency collapse, 5,000 Dow. Yes, it could happen. And this is from Market Watch. And, yeah, they're talking about, don't be surprised if the stock market stabilize or bounce back in the next couple of days. Markets are at least a short-term rally, but anyone who automatically assumes this is another buying opportunity is talking nonsense. Yeah, that's right. So what they're talking about is how the public is going to understand when the U.S. stock market collapses by another 70% until the Dow Jones Industrial Averages falls to about 5,000. The index tumbled 3% to 16,000 on 5, but 5,000 really. So for 30 years, stock prices have been increasingly boosted by financial factors, including the collapsing interest rates and the Federal Reserve manipulation, not to mention the bailouts, culminating in the most recent quantitative easing. So that's what we have. So they've devalued our currency. They put all this money into a stock market that's overvalued. Just to put this in layman's terms, like if you don't know anything about the market, here's how it works. You bought something for $100. That's your stock, $100, okay? It goes up in value because the Fed is pumping all this money into the market, so it brings up the value, for argument, just to make this simple. So now it says that your stock is worth 200 or whatever. Doesn't matter, more. But really, once that they stop doing that, because they can't do it forever, and they actually let the market correct itself, it's going to go to the real valuation, which was already below the amount you bought it at. So that's what's going to happen. It happened in 2008. I mean, the bubble was built. I'll tell you this why. You could just know, because back then I sold my house in New York for almost $500,000, and it was 16 feet wide by 60 feet. I mean, that was the house, little tiny house. And it was, overvalued, way overvalued. And then the market collapsed, as it did in 2008. So it definitely happens. And when you buy at the high point, you're stuck. That's why all these people are underwater right now on their mortgages. They're still underwater. There's millions of people. They don't talk about it. They don't talk about the 20 million people that lost their homes due to this thing that happened last time. Well, what's going to happen now? Who's going to bail out the little guy? They're not. They're going to take it from your bank accounts. It's already written into law, into Nazi-esque executive order. And the executive order says that bank accounts will be used, as to pay for the bankers instead of the bailout. It's a bail-in, like they did in Europe. Remember, this is a world system they're working on here. We don't want to admit it, but they want to keep us part of it, and they keep using the United Nations to tell us what to do and to do things their way. But yet we're a free country, and they let people run across the border? It's madness. They're destroying our sovereignty. They're internationalists. And most of the people on the left think there's nothing wrong with that. They want everyone to have world socialism, democratic socialism. They think it's the greatest thing in the world. I guess they never heard of Hitler or Stalin or Mao or, It's madness. It truly is madness. So what do we have here going on now with the stock market? So it was down 500 points. Let's take a look at this thing now. So 500 points. Last week, lost 3% of its value. Oil is at its biggest losing streak in 30 years. Oil's down a lot. We're probably going to see, guys. We're probably going to see, $2 oil probably by Christmas. Isn't that awesome? So if you're buying oil to in the Northeast, it's going to be like for a break. Last year it was
but you're not
$4 a gallon.
You're not going to be able to get your Xbox.
I don't care about my Xbox
or your PlayStation.
Well, I know that's going to actually torture everybody. I know they're going to be all upset about it, but. Hey, we have a materialist society that has been bred that way, and I'm going to sort of go into that with the MK Ultra because there is a relationship. There is a relationship between the mass media and advertising and mind control and manipulation. I mean, let's face it. Don't they treat political candidates now just like movie stars? They treat them with the same. They have their makeup artist. They have their hair guy. All this, all this stuff going on, and we're just supposed to believe that it's all just because we want it to look good. No, because of Nixon and Kennedy when they had that. Oh yeah, Kennedy looked better, so they realized they knew all along. They knew all along. They manipulate us. They get us to believe what they want us to believe, and they call that history. It's just amazing because if you look back and you look at the stuff they teach in school in the history books, if you get a current curriculum history book for kids, like high school kids, it's unbelievable what they're trying to pass off as history. It's just not nearly. It doesn't include nearly the important factors, and it gives a different slant. There's a slant to it, that the world can be a better place. And ever since World War II, the world has evolved, into and it's like unbelievable if you read these books, these history professors that probably were, smoking pot at Berkeley and hanging out with MK Ultra people, with all the LSD. Because maybe you don't know this, ladies and gentlemen, but do you know that MK Ultra was actually a mind control system that created the drug culture? It was actually used. LSD was used by Ken Kesey to go around, and it was supplied by the CIA, all this LSD, and he went around to all the college campuses across the United States. And in a couple of years, the whole country and the whole world, and it was happening in Europe as well, the Tavistock Institute. We're going to be going into all of that in this show, so stay tuned for a lot more important information. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. This is, again, Truth Talk News here on United FM Radio. I want to thank Keith and Melissa for having me on, and let's get some truth out.
Bag it. Looking for a game system or games? Or maybe a piece of stressed or unstressed furniture at a reasonable price? Or maybe you're a Kiss fan and you're looking for that perfect memorabilia piece that you've searched all over for, but still haven't found? Well, Second Chance Thrift Shop just might be the place to find your next piece of furniture or Kiss memorabilia piece while supplies last. Second Chance Thrift Shop offers different items from clothes at reasonable prices to electronics and game systems, and games at very low prices. But that's not all they offer. They also offer jewelry and books and other finds at very low prices. So stop on by the Second Chance Thrift Shop located at 523 Main Street in Torrington, Connecticut, across from Walgreens. Come on down and find your hidden treasure today. Are you trying to run hard, deep, and silent at night, but instead you're waking the dead?
Why, yes, honey. I think we terrorized the neighbors enough with our sex noises.
Are you tired of that squeaky, sagging mattress and waking up with back pains? Well, why not spring out of bed today and head down to Mattress Direct of Torrington. They're officially open to the public by appointment only. Save 40 to 70% off the big box retailer price on brand name mattress sets, all made in the USA. Everything is brand new, factory sealed and manufacturer's plastic, and even comes with a warranty. Queen size sets start at $150, with 6 sets under $600. 20-inch thick 4-inch thick pillow top set includes gel lumbar support for only $775. Many styles to choose from, including pillow tops, plush Euro tops, firm memory foam, gel beds, and more. Cash, debit, credit welcome as well. No credit check. Financing options within the first 90 days at 0% interest. Just $40 down and take home the bed of your choice today. Delivery available for a nominal fee. Mention you heard this ad on United FM Radio and receive an additional $25 off any bed, excluding starter sets. Inventory is limited. First come, first serve basis. Call 762-BEDTIME. That's 762-233-8463 and ask for Jay. He'll be happy to answer all your questions.
Hi, this is Keith Much from UnitedFMRadio.com. If you aren't already a fan of us on Facebook, we highly recommend becoming one. The best way for you to interact with us is via our Facebook page, where we encourage likes, comments, and shares. So go there.
I need a mic check on both of you.
Check. Cash. Credit. Debit.
Oh, go ahead.
All right, check. Yep.
Check.
Got it
Debit. Now. Cash.
Okay.
United FM, powered by
1.21 gigawatts. What the hell is a gigawatt?
colorhost.co. Check out colorhost.co for all your streaming and web hosting solutions today.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
$28 seconds. Well, 32 seconds.
Girlfriend again? Is her birthday or anniversary coming up? Don't buy her flowers. Instead, drop by my Facebook page at facebook.com Facebook.com/beaded jewelry by Mel and look at everything I have to offer, from handmade jewelry at affordable prices to handmade crafts such as key rings for as little as $5 each. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. You can also call me at 860-785-4270 or email me at jewelrybymelissaroy@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to assist you from answering all your questions regarding your order to customizing your order today.
So, the IMF Bank and World Bank nation killers are at it again, lending countries money they can't pay back. We're on the list. Markets are going nuts because China is in trouble. And there's panic selling going on. China's blamed for all of this. They're manipulating their currency constantly. Oil is at its biggest losing streak in 30 years. Could be a currency collapse facing. They're talking about a Dow Jones reduction to 5,000, which would be like, oh my God, everyone's retirement is gone, which is what these evil succubuses would love more than anything. Because then what they do is all of these resources and all of these the losses have to somehow be paid back. And what they'll do is they'll actually either this is a modus operandi, ladies and gentlemen, of the IMF and World Bank, Federal Reserve crime system. It's the same thing. They're all the same bankers as far as it's like they're all in the family. You know, it's a family business. It's a club, and we're not in it. And what they'll do is they'll take the resources, like the natural resources of the country, and they will basically rape and pillage and use those hedges to keep the peasants basically under their thumb in that country. It happened in Argentina. Probably one of the most startling things. Right before 9/11, there were people rioting in the streets for food in Argentina, one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Up until just around the 80s, 90s. And they stole all their wealth, and they took all their resources. They control the water now and all the electric. Everything's been privatized to them. And that's what they do. And they did this we're doing it in Venezuela. They've done it in Guatemala. They've done it across South America. In fact, anywhere that you find conflict, you will find the world banks. That's what they've done in the Middle East. Before 9/11, there were 7 countries that lacked a central bank controlled by this cartel. And those 7 countries happen to be countries that we've conquered all but 3. Afghanistan, Iraq, Sudan, all lacked banks before our intervention in the Middle East to fight terrorism, the war on terrorism. That's right. It's all part of the smokescreen. You know, there's always something. The underlying theme is now we have North Korea, Cuba, and North Korea, Cuba, and Iran. Those are the only 3 countries that don't have a central bank. So
what about Korea, North Korea?
I said that, North Korea. Yeah.
Do you hear what's going on in North Korea?
Yeah.
Koreans talked as deadline looms. North and South Korea officials were set to meet on Saturday.
Yeah, they want a war again. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, they want to end the standoff that put both sides on the brink of outright war. Yeah, wow. The meeting is scheduled for a half an hour. North Korea's ultimatum demanding that the South halt its loudspeaker propaganda broadcast along the border or face military action. Loudspeakers. So they have loudspeakers on the South Korea has big speakers pointed at North Korea, blasting them with propaganda.
Yeah, propaganda, in other words, let's not be communists, Well, okay. Well, it just so happens that we can see, because of this, and this is just not a prediction. It's just a tactical fact that in the future there's going to be war with North Korea. There's going to be war with, well, actually, Cuba's beautiful, because what they did by this whole fraud, by opening up our relations to Cuba, is just allowed the bankers just a door right in there, and there'll be a central bank there probably by Christmas.
Well, I have that article about currencies plunging worldwide.
Oh yeah, go ahead, read that.
The damaging spans the globe. Thailand's baht, is that right? BAHT?
Oh yeah, there's definitely. I don't know about the guy, but there's definitely over.
Currency.
I'm sorry?
That's Thailand's currency. I think.
Thailand.
Thailand. My aunt's over there right now.
In Thailand?
Oh, yeah. In the emerging markets worldwide, currencies are plunging over fears that developing economies are on the verge of a crippling fall. Success stories until recently emerging economics are seen as casualties now of the slower growth in China. Plunging prices for commodities like oil, iron ore, or the prospect of higher U.S. interest rates and homegrown threats. The damage has spilled across the oceans, with the turmoil jolting investors in New York and Tokyo in Europe. Investors are worried that China and other major emerging economies, I don't know why it says that, will reduce their imports. They fear that a trade-disrupting currency war, as some countries desperately lower their currency's value to gain a competitive edge. A lower-priced currency makes a country's goods cheaper for foreigners. The Dow Jones Industrial plunged 530 points, more than 3% Friday, on top of a 538-point drop. Thursday's Tokyo's Nikkei index shed 3% Friday. For all the market's jitters, many economists say that they remain confident that the U.S. economy is resilient enough to withstand a slowdown in the developing world.
Yeah, right.
And Europe's economy appears to be emerging from its long slump.
Well, listen to this, because right now the immigrants, the illegals, are trying to get into every country, and every country except the United States is standing up to them. There are protests in Germany against these migrant workers. They want the foreigners out. Immigration overtakes the economy is the biggest worry in the UK. And we have this chaos at the Macedonian border as refugees tear through police lines. I mean, this is not just this is a worldwide issue, because the world is crumbling economically. It really is. And they keep chipping the stones away at Americans' economy, and eventually they're going to chip away all the stones, and there's not going to be anything left. You just can't keep printing money when there's no growth. And they're not going to raise interest rates. If they raise interest rates, it'll actually destroy everything, and they can't do it. They know they can't. But the sweet Jewish old grandmother, Janet Yellen, at the Federal Reserve Crime Syndicate, she is saying first in March we're going to raise interest rates, then in June, now she's saying in September, and then she'll say in November, and then she'll say we're going to wait till next year, because they can't raise it. There is no growth. The biggest lie in the world. We had absolutely zero growth year to year last quarter. I mean, the country is in a flat line, and they keep adding burdens to it. It's not by accident. It's not by accident. It's like the Cloward-Piven strategy. They just keep pushing down and keep overwhelming the social welfare program and the system. Eventually, there'll actually be social change, and everyone will be guaranteed an income, and this is what these lunatics want. And they paid them for their study at Columbia in the 60s. I mean, this is the whole thing. We'll get into the reason why in some of the stuff I'm talking about, MK Ultra, when we get into that, because it is part of this world system that they're putting together. These secret societies that have been working in concert for, oh my God, multiple generations. It's bloodline families, the uberest, wealthiest people in the world.
I think Melissa found something.
What'd she find?
Yeah, I did. It's called, the source is Bloomberg View, and it's called Global Economy is Looking Very 1990s.
Oh.
Oil prices are falling, seemingly exorbitantly. Exorbitantly.
We're all special ed here, people.
Emerging
Speak for yourself, Keith.
I wanted to be a rapper when I grow up.
Okay, hey, listen, you're being offensive. Come on, the PC liberals are going to get on your tail.
Okay, sorry.
Emerging market countries are having currency crisis. Sorry, don't mind me. A previously unstoppable East Asian economy power, the world's second largest economy, is slowing, and the country's leaders at times seem to have lost the plot. Russia is an economic mess. Europe's economy is being held back by German political decisions and doubts about the common currency. The U.S. economy is relatively strong, but is beset by productivity paradox. I can't speak today. In which remarkable Silicon Valley innovations doesn't seem to be having an impact on the economic data.
Okay, so what does this all mean, Howard?
Well, what she was just that portion of what she was saying was basically discussing the fact that the tech sector is not going to pull us out of this mess that we're in here.
No more government bailouts?
Well, there really can't be any. I mean, they so to speak, they pulled all the plugs out on that. I mean, if we any further,
it's all gone.
It's really all gone. In fact, it's already been figured out by many economists that if our debt reaches, or I should say, when our debt, without doing something about our spending, when our debt reaches about 24 trillion, we're talking, Soylent Green City by then. People are going to just be, there's going to be unemployment like you can't believe, inflation, all these terrible things, and it's just really just a normal understanding is that the country just can't tax and they can't provide the services. So then what do? I don't know what would be the motive? You always to talk about everything. You always follow the money. What is the motive to destroy an economy and to destroy a country and to put its people into poverty? Who benefits?
Money's an abstraction. It doesn't actually destroy a single resource. It's not a real resource. It's an abstraction.
Yeah, but it's used as a device to take away people's possessions and wealth and material wealth and potential. They certainly would do that. People put money in the bank, to pay for their expenses. If the money is look, I mean,
right. It's an amazing psychological tool, but it doesn't have an objective reality. It's just extremely effective. It's a lot more effective than human speech to motivate people.
Oh no, absolutely. People feel by their wallets. Say wallets, you're going to feel your wallet. But what I'm talking about is having making $1,000 a week, and it costs $1,500 a week to live. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a point of critical mass where the social welfare system can't make up the shortfall. That the currency declines to such an extent as happened in the past, not too distant past either, by the way. In Germany, after World War I, where they had hyperinflation and the banks literally intentionally destroyed Germany just by they created the Bank of International Settlements, which is again part of this system of building and destroying nations. I mean, what else can I tell you? And then all the time, every nation that they destroy and they rebuild, they put their resources and their people and their influence into those governments and into those the infrastructure of those countries, and that's their system. I mean, it doesn't take rocket scientists to figure it out. In fact, the evidence is so clear. Do some research and you'll see. I wrote an article on it called "The Nation," how the New World Order rolls. The Nation Killers. Actually, the Nation Killer, how the Nation Killers, how the New World Order rolls. And it's what they do. And now we're really next. And believe it or not, China is there. All these countries are all at risk. We got people like Maurice Strong at the United Nations. Maurice Strong and all the big going against all of the global warming Agenda 21, United Nations Agenda 21. Well, Maurice Strong lives in Beijing, China. Okay, and they're building up China to break down China. That's what they always do. They build it up, they shear you down, and then they buy up all the resources at pennies on the dollar, all the corporations, all the different, they privatize things. I mean, when governments go broke, what do? Somebody's got to bail them out. That's their whole philosophy, and they're using government to bail out banks now. I mean, they made the biggest mistake ever, and we had to pay for it, and now we're still paying for it.
There's another piece of information, Howard.
What else?
It's further down the article. One is that as you were mentioning, commodity prices are falling, as they did in the 1990s. The other is that the U.S. economy has gone back to being the main driver of global growth, which has brought with it a big strengthening of the dollar. These two are related. Even with the recent boom in domestic oil productions, the U.S. is a net importer of commodities, so falling prices tend to boost growth. This is also true for the world's other big economies, Western Europe, Japan, and China. But all these places are facing economic headwinds in the U.S. that the U.S. is not. So the U.S. share of global economic output has been on the rise.
Right. Okay, so they're saying our economic output is on the rise?
Yeah, there's a graph from 1960. The U.S. GDP, worldwide GDP currency for U.S. in dollars was 40. And here it is, 2014. It fell literally below $25. Between 25 and 20.
And now it's on a rise.
Yeah. But it's sad how much our economy dollar has declined.
Well,
you know what I think?
But it's like a bump. If you say it's on a rise, if you look at that graph, it's just another bump. It's on a downward trend, sadly. What?
Yeah.
I think you know how when people first saw a tsunami,
yes,
the water recedes, and then the big tidal wave comes in. I think we're
seeing
the water recede.
The water's receding. That's right. It's good. That's a great analogy to it. It really is. The water is receding, and it's a big problem. I mean, there's so many problems. We got this. We got radical Islam going nuts. We've got the Pope wanting to just make take all the borders away and embrace the New World Order. We've got chaos at the borders, like I was saying before. We've got a man getting a bionic penis.
What?
Yes, if you can believe it.
That's funny.
What?
That's funny.
New York Daily News. Man's penis ripped off. A man who had his penis ripped off as a child now has an 8-inch bionic replacement.
What do? Piss off his little girlfriend?
Thanks to pioneering surgery. Can you imagine that?
They can't chop that one off.
Wow.
I bet you that's got an
His wife's going to like that, an 8-inch bionic replacement.
I
don't know. Does it move on itself?
I wonder how many vibration patterns it has.
Yeah, exactly. Does it vibrate?
Does it detach when he goes to bed?
A man whose penis was ripped off as a child has been fitted with an 8-inch bionic replacement. Mohammed Abad, 43, has undergone pioneering surgery over the last 3 years.
He's going to have every woman after him to try that thing out.
The porn industry is going to go after him. He lost it because, remember, this is the degradation of society.
Melissa, see if we can get an interview with this guy.
In a horrific accident when he was hit by a car and dragged for 600 yards. He lost his genitals. Wow.
I guess Jeremy's out of business then. That porn star, Jeremy?
Yeah.
I guess he's out of business.
Yeah. And let's see. It took him 3 years to have a fully functioning penis fitted. Surgeons started crafting a proper replacement 3 years ago with a skin graft taken from his arm.
It's 8 inches.
Yeah.
Holy crap. What's he going to do, screw horse?
Roger on the skin.
Abad's manhood has 2 tubes along its length which inflate with fluid when he presses a button on his testicles. Oh, God, I guess. Hey, look, you talked about advancing society, right? Oh, man.
There's no comments on... Wait a minute. I got to see the user comments.
It's too much.
Are you guys hearing me full volume? Because I'm not getting anything in the
I hear you.
headphones.
Sure.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
so
man.
when the movie is made, they won't be calling it the $6 million man.
They'll call it the 8-inch by 8-inch man.
Oh, God. A bionic penis.
Unreal.
Yeah, but
I've
there's
heard
a
almost
serious
anything.
point to that. I mean,
Yeah, there is a point to it. That's true.
Turning people into part machine, part human is it's on the horizon.
Transhuman.
So what does he do?
You're right about that. Transhumanism is what they want. Singularity. By 2045, we can plug our brains into the internet, and we won't eat our bodies
Hey,
anymore.
so what does he do? Ejaculate WD-40?
I guess so, probably. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Apparently, I'm looking at the article now, Howard. He lost his genitals in a horrific accident at age 6.
He said that.
Yeah. Damn, 600 yards? Holy cow.
That must have hurt. Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, the world is just out of control, There's just a lot of things, a lot of turmoil.
Now he wants to have kids.
Oh, They'll have to figure that out.
So they can just put the sperm fluid in there.
I guess they can do anything these days, you know.
They
can clone him.
They could. You know? He could breed with anything. All they had to do is
clone him from a skin cell.
They got to lock and load his penis with anything. The rabbit sperm, horse sperm, cow sperm. He can fuck anything.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Okay.
He just swore.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, it's legal.
We can.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I was brought up.
I try not to. It's also
with lots of mind control. Yeah.
Lots of
oh,
mind
there you
control.
go. Yeah. Interesting.
Don't swear.
Hey, listen to this. Kissinger. When Kissinger talks, you better listen because he speaks New World Order ease. That's the language.
And he's right up the road from us.
Yeah, I know. I actually know his housekeeper, or the person, not the housekeeper, but his sort of like the person that does the grounds and takes care of his property. A guy named Bill Boughton.
Does he have a bionic penis?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't, but...
I'm going to save that as a screen name,
But I actually know him, and I can't believe that he works for Henry Kissinger. It was the craziest thing. I met him through business contact and shocked the hell out of me. But anyway, that's another story. So former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, the messenger of the New World Order, has hit out an American and European Ukraine. He's hit out at American and European Ukraine policy, saying it ignores Russia's relationship with its neighbor and is calling for cooperation between the White House and the Kremlin. Good luck. Breaking Russia has become an objective for U.S. officials, and the long-range purpose should be to integrate it. The 92-year-old told the National Interest in a lengthy interview. Well, yeah, I'd like to hear that interview.
We all.
Maybe there's an audio on it. It's got a link.
I will tell you now that...
That's a pretty good imitation, actually.
Let me tell you. You have to understand that the New World Order is what is important. And making sure that we move into the New World Order.
You kicked my dog.
So the Zionists can control
Your brain.
the world and rule from Jerusalem as foreseen by the great mystery religion of Babylon, which is what we all worship because we are not really Jews. We are false Jews. The false Jews of the Bible. Revelation 2:9 of the Bible says, beware the false Jews. They say they are Jews, but they are really the synagogue of Satan, and that's why the Jewish star is 666, and that's right, but you're an anti-Semite if you talk against us, so we've got you by the balls. Welcome to the New World Order.
That's the truth, man. So anyway, Henry Kissinger, let's see. Oh, wow, it actually has, it's the text. Yeah. Why is realism today an embattled approach to foreign affairs, or perhaps not as significant as it was when you had figures such as Hans Morgenthau, because they were insiders, George Kennan, Dean Acheson, and then yourself in the 70s? What has changed?
I don't think that I have changed my view on this subject very much since the 70s. I have always had an expansive view of national interests.
Bullshit. I can't even listen to this guy lie, because he's such a liar. He has done more to advance. First of all, he's truly a war criminal. He should be in fact, they tried to arrest him at Bilderberg a couple of times because he goes there and
Is that factual? They actually,
absolutely.
Leveled formal charges on Henry Kissinger.
That's right, and also on George Bush, the World Court. It's true.
I
absolutely.
did not know that.
Oh, yeah, you can Google it. It's all true. By the way, don't believe any of this stuff, but look it up. Especially if you can't believe it. Look it up. It gives you a reason to look it up.
That's exactly what I do.
And, yes, no doubt. They are literally war criminals.
What's the name of that guy you were just imitating?
Henry Kissinger.
Harry Kissinger?
Henry. What are you doing, Henry?
Yeah, if you grew up during the Nixon's administration, it was a household name back then.
Yeah, Henry Kissinger certainly was. And, again, they have this whole control over the political system through the State Department, these insiders, the Council on Foreign Relations. I mean, these are all darlings. I mean, Kissinger and Rockefeller are like blood brothers, basically, and they probably are, actually. And this goes back way back. I mean, this is, again, you're talking about Kissinger has been chosen. He was hired in the 1950s. He was a professor at Harvard, and he was hired by the Rockefeller Foundation. I think they paid him like $50,000 a year, which in 1950s was like, that's a sick amount of money.
Usually when high-profile politicians or world leaders visit prestigious universities, they're publicly celebrated, revered, and promoted to faculty, students, and the community. After all, it gives colleges mad cred and loot to host such influential establishment figures. But apparently not Yale. See, this uber-elite university is bringing Henry Kissinger in for a lecture soon, but shh, don't tell anyone about it. The faculty has been ordered to respect the confidentiality of Kissinger's speech and be tight-lipped about his talk on campus.
Sure.
According to Salam, the associate director of Yale's Jackson Institute for Global Affairs, Larissa Statara, sent out an email to the organization's listserv stating, Dr. Kissinger's visit to campus will not be publicized. So we appreciate your confidentiality with respect to this exciting opportunity. Yay! Isn't it so exciting to usher in and fawn over a known war criminal? According to Satara's email, the lecture is invite-only, and all students are expected to remain in their seats for the entire duration of the event. Yikes. Treating the privileged few who are lucky enough to be invited like cattle once they are actually granted access. Because apparently Kissinger is an untouchable god. And you know what? Considering how he's never been held accountable for all the blood on his hands, I don't blame him for feeling that way. See, let's take it back. Kissinger served as National Security Advisor and Secretary of State under Presidents Nixon and Ford. And while serving in the administrations, he flagrantly violated U.S. law time and time again in Laos, Bangladesh, Cyprus, East Timor, and Chile. In a Media Roots article titled Why Henry Kissinger Should Be Tried at The Hague, author Andy Piaskik talks about how Kissinger was one of the chief architects of the U.S.-backed coup in Chile. See, in 1973, the CIA generously supported the overthrow of Chile's democratically elected government of Salvador Allende. And what followed was 16 years of oppression, torture, and death under the fascist regime of Augusto Pinochet, along with a steady flow of resources and profits to multinational corporations. Furthermore, during Nixon's presidency, it was Kissinger who oversaw illegal bombing campaigns that slaughtered millions of Indo-Chinese civilians across Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. This number doesn't even take into account the countless thousands more that have died in the years since from exposure to the toxic chemical Agent Orange, sprayed all over the landscape in Kissinger's scorched earth policy. According to the UN, tens of thousands more civilians have also died as a result of the unexploded U.S. bombs that still litter the countryside after the war, with just as many left maimed. Ironically, in 1973, Kissinger wasn't just overseeing death and destruction, he was also winning peace prizes. Yes, that's Kissinger actually won the Nobel Peace Prize for helping bring the Vietnam War to a close. Amazing.
The whole thing's a fraud.
But during the end of his time in office, Kissinger and Ford helped Indonesian dictators Suharto invade East Timor with weapons furnished in the U.S. Same man who had facilitated a year-long reign of terror, resulting in 1.5 million people dead.
Just saying it as it is. You know, here, we can kill that. We can go off. If you really want to get something really amazing, Google, since you're doing that, Google Nixon asks Kissinger to nuke Cambodia.
Oh, wow.
And it'll come up, and they have this conversation that came out on the Nixon tapes, where I've heard it many times, and it's unbelievable. And these are the people, these are the leaders of the free world. And it sounds like a Hitchcock movie, like in Rope, these two psychopaths talking about killing this kid, you know. And that's how it is. How many people, Henry? How many will we kill? Oh, I could do my Nixon. Henry, how many people can we kill by blowing up the dams and flooding the town? I'm getting them both mixed up. and Kissinger goes, I don't know, maybe 250,000. So Nixon says, no, that's not enough. We need more, Henry. We gotta think big. Maybe we should nuke them. And then Henry Kissinger, at least to his credit, said, I think that would be a bit extreme. But it just goes to show, like, the way these people, you know, they're sociopaths for the most part. And certainly were working for the military-industrial complex. They were working for a multitude of corporations that benefited. The Rand Corporation was a big part of it. And, of course, the Pentagon Papers came out, which was proof of it. And these same corporations, these same incarnations, if they might have changed their names or merged or whatever, but the same forces are behind all the wars that we have now, all of the military endeavors. And now we're leaving our hardware, tanks, and billions of dollars worth of weapons in the hands of our enemies. So you tell me what's going on. I mean, I don't see anything other than a
Henry, our enemies are everywhere.
That's right. That's good. It's true. They're everywhere. And Kissinger is a great example of somebody who gives a lot of clues. A lot of the stuff that he's done gives a lot of clues and what he says is really what they're planning. Who are they? These are the uber elite, the ruling class families, the bloodline families. They believe themselves to be the keepers of the secrets of the ages. They are ritualistic in their endeavors to control pretty much the whole world. And this is an interesting fact. It came out some years ago, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, that 147 corporations, most of them central banks, private central banks, and insurance companies, things like that, holding companies, control the interests in over 44,000 multinational corporations that we do business with every day. And when you break down these 147 companies, they are owned all by these same ruling class families in the end. And you can actually trail this. It's right to their doorsteps. You know, people that you might never have heard of, like Moses Saif. Maybe people you have heard of, like the Rothschild family or the Rockefellers. You heard about them. Or the royal family, which are really the Saxe-Coburg-Gothas. They're not the Windsor family. They changed their name to Windsor. They're really a German family. And also Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, and Queen Beatrice and her offsprings. They're all relatives. You forget that Prince Charles and Vlad the Impaler are related.
The Habsburgs.
The Habsburgs, correct. That's right. And the Saxe-Coburg-Gothas. And you have the whole bloodline from the Romanov family. They were all related. They were cousins. So the Tsar was murdered to consolidate. He was too powerful. They wanted. The Rothschild family had some vindictive things against the Tsar's family because they went against them in the Civil War, because Russia sided with Lincoln, because actually they really did want the South to win. They being these elitists, the group with no name. They really have no name. I mean, people call them the Illuminati, but they have no name. They were characterized best probably in Carol Quigley's 1966 work, Tragedy and Hope, which everybody should read. It'd take a long time to read. It's a big book, but it goes into how that there really truly is a concerted effort to consolidate all the financial resources of the world under one conduit system, under the control of these elitists through the Council on Foreign Relations, and it's all actually documented how they plan to do it even. And interestingly enough, because what they've done since then has occurred since the 60s, when that book was first published. They have brought us into a world system with regional government, as they talked about, because really we do have this right now.
Did they write a Cliff Notes book about it? Is that what you're saying?
There's really no Cliff Notes book. I mean, not that I know of. It's a huge PDF. I mean, it's like if you read it, it's it's got to be like 1,300 pages. It's enormous.
What's this?
It's called Tragedy and Hope by Carol Quigley, who was Bill Clinton's mentor at Georgetown. Wrote that book in '66 for many years, he was close to these elitists in the Council on Foreign Relations, and they allowed him for 2 years to go through their papers and their documents. And he had nothing wrong with it. In fact, he thought the only thing that he didn't like about it was the fact that they wanted to keep it a secret. He didn't agree with that. He thought it was a wonderful thing, and he thought there was nothing wrong with bankers running the world, and having and controlling the economies of the world. He saw nothing wrong with it because they were the ones that had the they should do it. They should he was one of them. So what's he going to think? I'm part of the club, so yeah, sure, I agree with it. And the book that he wrote was really supposed to be just for them, for the people on the inside, because it goes into it in such detail. But of course, it got publicized, and now it's something that if you read it, you would certainly understand it. I mean, there's excerpts here. I'll give you an excerpt. I'll get a quick excerpt because I know there's so many different quotes from the book. I mean, I could just go tragedy and hope quotes, and there's just so many of them. Tragedy and hope quotes. All right. And it's important to realize that this book was written before I was even born. I wasn't even born in 1966. So, tragedy and hope quotes. 65 to see. Yeah, okay. Oh no, that's the wrong place. But one of them. Tragedy and hope quotes. Here we go. Oh, these aren't showing his quotes alone.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, when that happens. So, one of the things that he was saying was that it was a feudal to rule in a feudal fashion. Here, I'm going to use images. It'll come off on an image I've seen because they have many of these. Okay. Here, the powers of financial capitalism had another far-reaching aim, nothing less than to create a world system of financial control in private hands, able to dominate the political system of each country and the economy of the world as a whole. This system was to be controlled in a feudalist fashion by the central banks of the world, acting in concert by secret agreements, arrived at in frequent private meetings, that's the Bilderberg Group, and conferences. The apex of this system was the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, a private bank owned and controlled by the world's central banks, which were themselves private corporations. The growth of financial capitalism made possible a centralization of world economic control and use of this power for the direct benefit of the financiers and the indirect injury of all other economic groups. Tragedy and hope, that's a direct quote from it. And that book is Macmillan and Company, 1966. You can get it anywhere.
It's on archive.org.
Yep, it's there. And this is the key to the whole New World Order, this particular thing. This is what they're talking about. And they're doing it. The banks are controlling the world. And you're a conspiracy theorist and a nut job and a tinfoil hat by revealing this. Especially when we get into the other aspects of how they try to sell this to the people, because we are at war. It's a silent war fought with quiet weapons. It's an economic war that they've put into place at the first Bilderberg meeting in 1954. That was the reason behind it, was to come up with a plan. And then in 1979 they had a meeting, and at the meeting they determined that what the status was of the plan to at that point. That notes from that, or the document that was printed from that meeting, which was only supposed to go to members, was titled Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. And it gauged the progress. This PDF is also available online. And it goes directly into it, including equations, economic equations, and all this other factoring on how they're going to devalue the currencies, destroy countries, and do everything that they've done. But nobody investigates. Nobody does anything. No one. You're a conspiracy theorist. It's right there, and it was. And the earliest that this document was discovered was 1986. So since 1986, this information has been out. and they call it a fraudulent document, all this other stuff. But meanwhile, everything that it was talking about has come to pass pretty much, and continues to come to pass. And ultimately, they're going to create some sort of a world currency that everyone's going to use, and that is the ultimate goal, to have a one world currency and a one world government where they tell you what to do. Well, it already happens. Look at this, the small arms treaty. You know, we signed the small arms treaty. Come on, give me a break. You know, anything that the UN says trumps what we as Americans want. That doesn't. The people just aren't aware of it. They're embracing their own servitude. They don't even see it. I think it was Goethe who said, "No one is more hopelessly enslaved than someone who falsely believes themselves to be free." You know, if we were really free, we wouldn't have all of these barriers on us, on how we can reach our full potential as individuals, because everything is done for the collective. Everything is done in a cookie cutter way, and if you don't fit into the system, you know, you're a problem. And you know, it's this designed social engineering, you know, engineering of the society to maintain this sort of facade. I think it was best said to I think it was President Wilson. Was it Wilson? Did he said it to? No, I don't think it was. It was before that. It was Roosevelt, I believe, well, John D. Rockefeller said to, I think it was President Teddy Roosevelt in like 1909. Yes, in 1909, that he wasn't interested in American thinkers. He wasn't interested in thinkers. He wanted workers. And right after that, all this money got pumped into the education system. And ever since then, the Carnegie Endowment, Rockefeller Foundation have funded all of these front groups and all of these other things, moving us into this society that we see today and the perspective that the elite want us to see. Norman Dodd went on record. He was in charge of the Reese Committee investigating the tax-exempt foundations, and discovered that the Ford Foundation were working to actually merge the United States comfortably with the Soviet Union. Now, in the 1950s, that'd be hard to believe. You know, wow, that's crazy, first of all. But have we sort of not? I mean, do you really think communism died when the Berlin Wall fell? Did you really buy that propaganda line that, oh, the fall of communism? Are you kidding me? How many communist countries are there? I can count, well, North Korea, we got China, we've got all these countries in South America are now communist. So it's just all about perception, because anyone will tell you it's what people perceive, not necessarily what is true, that they believe.
That was my point about money earlier.
Absolutely, no doubt. But what it can do is when you have a society like we do now that's so dependent upon government, and government cannot provide, what will occur ultimately is civil unrest, and it could lead to even worse. It could lead to martial law. And I believe that ultimately the people behind this whole operation are going to use some sort of a cataclysmic event. In fact, he said it himself, David Rockefeller said, all the world needs is the right crisis, and they will embrace the New World Order. These are his words.
You got that right.
These are his words. And
I still think it'll be medical, biological.
I think you're right on there too. I think that they're already setting it up, because yesterday I read an article that there's a new in California. They've got some of the new superbug going out there that they can't, these superbugs, they can't kill these
and they're invisible, so they don't actually have to exist. They just need to create the belief that it exists.
That's a very good point. They only have to believe that it exists, and people will fall prey to that. It's just like with the hype that they had with the Ebola thing. It was just nuts, that was a big psyop. But it again, just to see how the people react. They do this all the time. They do it all the time. They just want to see how we react, and they know us pretty well. I mean, because we're very
primate-like.
Yeah, that's right. In general, fear. It's all, they rule by fear. And also, it was the flu season, so everybody went out and got a flu shot.
Yeah, but the flu is actually real.
Yeah, the flu is real, but the flu shot's deadly.
I can't argue with that one.
Okay, so listen, when we come back, I'm going to go deep into MK Ultra. This is, fasten your seatbelts for this one. A lot of stuff you're never going to believe that really happened in this country and is still happening today. Stay tuned.
Looking for that game from your childhood? Want to catch up on the classics? Check us out by Down by the River Gaming, located at 45 Water Street in Torrington, Connecticut. We specialize in retro and newer video game systems, as well as electronics, comic books, vinyl records, trading cards, and much more. We give store credit for your used video game systems, including electronics, Magic the Gathering, cards, and collectibles. Need a repair? We fix your computer systems and other electronics. Video game tournaments held weekly for chances to win cool prizes. Call us at 860-618-5355 or like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/DBTRG. That's facebook.com/DBTRG. For more info about the newest sales and events, hope to see you down by the river. United FM, powered by
1.21 gigawatts. What the hell is a gigawatt?
Colorhost.co. Check out colorhost.co for all your streaming and web hosting solutions today.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Bag it. Looking for a game system or games? Or maybe a piece of stressed or unstressed furniture at a reasonable price? Or maybe you're a Kiss fan and you're looking for that perfect memorabilia piece that you've searched all over for, but still haven't found? Well, Second Chance Thrift Shop just might be the place to find your next piece of furniture or Kiss memorabilia piece while supplies last. Second Chance Thrift Shop offers different items from clothes at reasonable prices to electronics and game systems, and games at very low prices. But that's not all they offer. They also offer jewelry and books and other finds at very low prices. So stop on by the Second Chance Thrift Shop located at 523 Main Street in Torrington, Connecticut, across from Walgreens. Come on down and find your hidden treasure today. Are you trying to run hard, deep, and silent at night, but instead you're waking the dead?
Why, yes, honey. I think we terrorized the neighbors enough with our sex noises.
Are you tired of that squeaky, sagging mattress and waking up with back pains? Well, why not spring out of bed today and head down to Mattress Direct of Torrington. They're officially open to the public by appointment only. Save 40 to 70% off the big box retailer price on brand name mattress sets, all made in the USA. Everything is brand new, factory sealed and manufacturer's plastic, and even comes with a warranty. Queen size sets start at $150, with 6 sets under $600. 20-inch thick mattresses with 4-inch thick pillow top set includes gel lumbar support for only $775. Many styles to choose from, including pillow tops, plush Euro tops, firm, memory foam, gel beds, and more. Cash, debit, credit welcome as well. No credit check. Financing options within the first 90 days at 0% interest. Just $40 down and take home the bed of your choice today. Delivery available for a nominal fee. Mention you heard this ad on United FM Radio and receive an additional $25 off any bed, excluding starter sets. Inventory is limited. First come, first serve basis. Call 762-BEDTIME. That's 762-233-8463 and ask for Jay. He'll be happy to answer all your questions.
Hi, this is Keith Much from UnitedFMRadio.com. If you aren't already a fan of us on Facebook, we highly recommend becoming one. The best way for you to interact with us is via our Facebook page, where we encourage likes, comments, and shares. So go there now and give us a like and suggest our page to your friends. Our page is located at Facebook.com/United Radio FM. Again, that's Facebook.com/United Radio FM.
piss off your wife or girlfriend again? Is her birthday or anniversary coming up? Don't buy her flowers. Instead, drop by my Facebook page at facebook.com/Beaded Jewelry by Mel and look at everything I have to offer, from handmade jewelry at affordable prices to handmade crafts such as key rings for as little as $5 each. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. You can also call me at 860-785-4270 or email me at jewelrybymelissaroy@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to assist you from answering all your questions regarding your order to customizing your order today.
This is United FM Radio. We're just waiting for Howard to come back up. And speaking of North and South Korea, we got a dedication going out to Kim Jong-un. If you're out there listening in North what?
Kim Jong-un.
Un.
Yeah, that's how you
Kim
pronounce
Jong-un?
Yes, that's how you pronounce his last his
just think
Kim Jong-un.
What'd you say?
Kim Jong-un.
No. Okay, I got it. What'd you say?
I said he's that.
Nope.
I don't have any audio on my headphones.
There you go.
I said he's that punk kid in Korea trying to run a country. His old man or his grandfather ran it.
Oh, well, we're gonna. If he's just in case he's listening, we're gonna send him a song. So this is going out to Kim Jong-un.
There you go. You got it now.
Yeah, and spend a little money on a good haircut there, Kim Jong-un.
Taking your time for this precious interview.
So I guess we could just go ahead and get started. First question: is there anything you want to say to the world?
Ching, ching, chong, I'm Kim Jong-un, got a mushroom crowd for you. I got a missile now, I'm gonna throw you up, gonna throw you up. I got a missile now, I'm gonna throw you up, gonna throw you up. Yeah, I got some sort of big missile for you. It goes so far, it hits California. Whole wide world's gonna go up in flames when Obama calls up. I take the phone and say, ching, ching, chong, I'm Kim Jong-un, got a mushroom crowd for you. You're a black man, give me all your fried watermelon and your chicken right now. Ooh, I got a small little penis and my missile is large. You won't think my dick's sweeter when I'm dropping it. So ching, ching, chong, I'm Kim Jong-un, got a mushroom crowd for you. I got a missile now, I'm gonna throw you up, gonna throw you up. Yeah, got a couple nunchucker, theme park for torture. I said nuke the Chinese, I meant microwave supper. I bombed China, but the button got stuck. Ah, fuck, better duck. Yeah, fortune cookie for rock. Ching, ching, chong, I'm Kim Jong-un, got a mushroom crowd for you. Gonna bomb your shitty while you're shitting there, shitting out a chicken wonton. Ooh, I got a small favorite penis and my missile is large. You won't think my dick's bigger when I'm dropping it. So ching, ching, chong, I'm Kim Jong-un, got a mushroom crowd for you. Yeah, I'm showing up, I'm growing up, I'm throwing up all night.
I wonder if he has a bionic penis, an 8-inch bionic penis. The little boy, Jimmy.
My young 13-year-old bride, my cognac, smoke crack. The bitches be like, oh crap, like biking and dry green. My friend Dennis is so brag. Hillary, you're a pretty little fat dyke. I wanna see you on my penis with a flashlight. Looking for my daughter on South Korean border. Cause ching, ching, chong, I'm Kim Jong-un, gonna bro you, bro you. God damn it! Ching, ching, chong, I'm Kim Jong-un, got a mushroom crowd for you. I'm a black ass nigga, everybody sing with me, let's get jiggy right now. Ooh, I'm gonna rape these women while the rest of you starve. If I had some more dinner, I'd give you none of it. Ching, ching, chong, I'm Kim Jong-un, got a mushroom crowd for you. I got a missile now, I'm gonna throw you up, gonna throw you mushroom crowd for you. I got a missile now, I'm gonna throw you up, gonna throw you mushroom crowd for you. I got a missile now, I'm gonna throw you up, gonna throw you up. I am the Chinese Cartman.
That was the little Kim. What do you want to call that guy anyway? He's a no.
That was Rucka singing Kim
Kim Jong Un. Yeah, that's the little guy, the junior.
The man that
junior
North
Nazi.
Korea is stuck with as a leader. For
North
the time
Korea,
being.
the junior Nazi. I understand he killed his uncle.
What is it? 44-40 or fight? What was the slogan between North and South Korea? It was the parallel.
The 44th parallel. Yeah.
I think it was called. The slogan was 44-40 or fight, something like that.
Something like that. I don't recall honestly, but man, they're just going right at it. But it was funny. I thought it was interesting. You know, I like the the jesting, making fun. I should make a couple of videos of these clowns. I mean, Hillary's the biggest clown. I mean, she's just like out there, like, you mean wipe it like with a rag? Wipe the server with a rag? I mean, it's just silly. But these people, a lot of them are mind control, like Bill Clinton. There's evidence of this incredibly. I didn't give you a link for this because you really can't. It's something visually, so for radio it wouldn't be good. But there's a video you can go to. Just Google Bill Clinton under MK Ultra mind control, and you'll see it. It's unbelievable. He is just totally in a trance. It's a great piece of evidence, so that you can start putting these pieces together for yourself. And he was having makeup applied, and he was just out of it, man. And it wasn't like he was on drugs either, to describe it. But I do have some other videos regarding the...
There's a blog entry or something, skywriter2012.wordpress.com. Bill Clinton and Hillary, MK Ultra Mind Control.
Yeah, there you go. And they are, no question about it.
We have before us the opportunity to forge...
Yeah, there's a YouTube clip, too. It's 1 minute and 2 seconds. It comes right up. You just type in Clinton, MK Ultra Mind Control.
Oh, sure. It's there. It's right there.
The law of the jungle governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Well, in 1977, a Freedom of Information Act request uncovered a cache of over 20,000 documents relating to CIA Project MKUltra. The startling revelations of the contents of these documents led to Senate hearings later that same year. These are on record, and it's pretty incredible.
Howard, this thing says President Clinton apologizes for MKUltra. That means he's explicitly acknowledging it.
No, I'm not. That's not the video.
Yeah, but it represents President of the United States putting this into the world of fact.
Oh, it is in the world of fact. It's undeniable. It's on record that it occurred.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, MKUltra is real. In fact, the only lie about it there's many lies about it, or sub-projects or things that they don't talk about, is that it ended. It never really ended. It was headed by Sidney Gottlieb. It was founded on April 13th, 1953, under the direction of Alan Welsh Dulles, who was the CIA director. And the way this thing came about, believe it or not, there's a connection to Nazis. I know it's hard to believe all this stuff, but the reason there's a connection to Nazis has to do with the secret societies, the Brotherhood of Death. The Brotherhood of Death is also known as Skull and Bones, which is a well-known fraternity at Yale, correct. But the Thule Society, or the Thule Society, Thule Society, is a German equivalent. Now, the Skull and Bones happens to also be from Bavaria. The society is German-based. So you have these societies actually being the same, one and the same. In fact, they all are working for the same goal. And in this case, the connection is just obvious, because there's a connection between the Nazis, which is this Thule Society, okay, and you have Skull and Bones. And that is one of the reasons why the Nazis were caught laundering money. Fritz Thyssen was caught with Prescott Bush in 1944 or 3, something like that. They were laundering Nazi funds, trading with the enemy. This is history. Of course, they got themselves off of it, and nobody questions it. It's not mentioned much in the history books. They won't go over it in classrooms, but it's the truth. and they were busted, fined, and other things like that. Over $2 million, something like $2.5 million, through the Union Bank, which is a bank here in Connecticut.
Is it?
Yeah, Union Bank, right here. There's one in town. Same bank. Guess why? Because guess what state? Guess what state Mr. Prescott Bush
Connecticut.
represented?
He
Connecticut.
Was, what, a senator?
He was a senator, of course. You see.
So
the Nazis were laundered money through the Union Bank under Prescott Bush.
They sound like a bunch of pirates to me.
They are. Well, that's why there's skull and bones. Get it? Makes sense, right?
Well, as far as I know, almost every sitting president in the last 40 years was somehow.
Well, they're all connected by some sort of a bloodline relation.
And I think it's even Obama's in that club. I'm not sure on that.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, they all are. It is truly it's not a club. It's more like it's their way. To them, it's a religion. I kid you not. It's like a religion. It's like a ritualistic thing. It's more than just coincidence. It's not just for bloodline. It's certainly for control, but it's deeper than that.
I was just reading last night, or someone was telling me, I don't remember where it came from, but I remember a part of it was looking on the computer screen there. That's all I remember. And it was all about whether or not Hitler was a Catholic.
That's interesting.
What?
Now, he was definitely a Catholic,
yes,
and said so, but the question was he pandering, or was he an actual believer in the papacy and Catholicism?
Well, I think the whole thing, if we really dig into this whole thing, going back to the Nazis and the Catholic Church and the Pope and the relationship, I mean, remember, they're all working for the New World Order. Hitler wanted a New World Order too. He did. He even called it a New World Order. It's not a coincidence, because they're really working for the same goals. Whatever their perception is, it's the same goal. It's world domination. And actually, Nazism, ladies and gentlemen, is closer to what these elitists really want. They do want to, sort of, in their own way, they're doing a good thing. To them, this is good. They're going to genetically modify our DNA and our bodies so that we become perfect. Like this whole thing with transhumanism. You were mentioning it before.
Yeah.
And
coming.
It's here. They were already doing it. They gave a guy a bionic dick. Come on. So.
Yeah, but if they cannot make a machine intelligent, I don't believe they can.
No, they can. The artificial intelligence thing is what scares me, is because
if that's possible, it's game over. But if it's not
game
possible,
over.
We'll be all right.
It's so much like
on that front.
It's so much like was given away in 2001. It's so much like that.
But just
HAL
think about
is
it.
real.
Intelligent tissue. If the tissue in your arm is also intelligent, not just in your skull anymore, that's going to be a game changer.
I don't know. I don't know enough about that. I just know that you're treading on some water we shouldn't be treading on. I
agree with you.
I think that, again, it's because it's part of this whole New World Order agenda. That's why they're moving us away from God. They want us to accept things that are unnatural. And you don't have to be a religious person. You just have to understand that.
These guys are afraid of exactly what you and I are afraid of, but their idea of the solution is completely different.
What do you mean?
I mean, their concerns are your concerns and my concerns, but their idea of how to address those concerns is radically different. That's what stands between us and them.
Well, that's one of the things, but again, they're literally they're being completely what you would consider subjective people. They're saying this is the way we're going to make it happen, as opposed to us saying let's have some sort of a discussion, a political discussion about it. No, they're going to figure out a way to get what they want, no matter what. To them, it's a means to an end. To them, it doesn't matter if they have to murder 50 million people or inflate, the numbers of deaths, or to change people's public opinion, or create events that really didn't occur, like the way they say they did, like 9/11 and all these other things. They do these things to divert us and control us. That is a fact, and that's the thing that we have to use.
Well, that's called psyops.
It is. It's psyops. The whole thing is a psyop, and going into like a lot of these people, like for example, in the military, it's part of the military. If we're going to just cut through some of the chase here to the MK Ultra, they're doing a lot of this does have to do with the occult and with like Satanism or whatever you want to call it. And Project MK often was one of the offshoots of Project MK Ultra, It was a covert operation from the Department of Defense that was testing behavioral and toxicological effects of certain drugs on animals and people. And it began in the late 70s. And then in 71, the Times reported a story, New York Times reported a story on the CIA and occult research. And this is what's interesting. There was a book in 2007 called Secrets and Lies, the CIA medical abuse and, I forget the whole thing, but it's Gordon Thomas, 2007, Secrets and Lies. It would come up. And Operation Orphan was initiated basically by Sidney Gottlieb to explore black magic and harness the forces of darkness, I kid you not, and challenge the concept that the inner reaches of the mind are beyond reach. And as a part of the operation, they employed fortune tellers, palm readers. In fact, Sybil Leek was a Satanist, a high-level Satanist, got involved. They gave them a lot of information.
Yeah, but Satan doesn't actually exist.
These people believe he does.
Oh, I believe you, but it's
Whether or not-
objectively, I'm a Dawkins aficionado. Let's say Richard Dawkins, the professor.
Okay,
and
what
his
is that?
worldview is pretty much that there's no magical crap out there. Reality is, unfortunately, for a lot of people, it's impoverished to the point there's nothing magical out there. It's all actual things. So things like Satan are made up things, like Santa Claus.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that because there are, the truth of the matter is that these people, whether you believe it or not, they believe it, and they do rituals. They do rituals and murder people and sacrifice people to Lucifer. They believe, like the Freemasons,
right? But those are all
that
human actions made by very human people that live, live, and die. They're not magical beings like Satan.
No.
Satan is a fiction.
Well, that's like saying God is a fiction. Whatever you want to call the negative.
I would have to go with that as well. Yeah.
Well, and that's certainly a point of view, but the point is that these folks literally sacrifice human beings, like pagans did.
That would hurt.
They worship the ancient mystery religions like the sun gods, like Horus and Molech and Baal, and they put blood sacrifices and believe that they gain power from doing this, and that's how that they maintain their power.
Yeah, but what they're actually doing is bolstering their ego to create, commit over the top actions they wouldn't necessarily have the guts to do without some sort of a bizarre story in their head to go along with what they're doing to another person.
I don't know. I mean, if you look into what the CIA did, I mean, you could say to yourself, well, they trauma-based mind-controlled people.
But at least they're operating with information. These are intelligence gatherers, so they theoretically know what's going on, quote-unquote.
Well, they actually not only know what's going on, they're trying to influence what's going on and trying to like
Isn't that
Gottlieb,
what you do with knowledge?
Well,
Knowledge
Gottlieb,
is power.
what he did was sought to make the devil respectable. And, with television and the movies, and it's sort of like the devil has become like a pop culture cliche, like you said yourself, right? There is no devil. It doesn't exist, whatever. So the people, even if they don't believe it, so to the devil with it, right? It doesn't matter. Evil is real, and evil can be spread, like a disease.
No, it's not an entity. It's an idea that is spread from person to person through conversation.
Yeah, like
and
radical
actions.
Islam, right? Who want to kill and behead infidels to serve what they believe is God.
If I cut off either my arm or yours while we're making eye contact, you'll never forget that experience. And that's what evil is. It's an over-the-top behavior, human behavior, exhibited in front of another human being. And that's really all it is.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be in front of right? It doesn't have to necessarily be in front of it. It can be like with Henry Kissinger, There's an evil person, done evil things, but he didn't physically do anything. You see,
he wasn't up close and personal,
right?
Well,
exactly.
By his own creed.
But these people believe that
faithful.
we are just like ants. They don't regard us.
Abstracting a human life into something.
But they regard us as cattle, who are like dumb animals, and animals who have no intellect, quote unquote, and cannot think.
Yeah, that's contempt.
And anybody that has intellect and doesn't use it is no better than an animal, and you're a steak on the table
I have
for
that
choice
attitude,
and consent.
but I know it's wrong, and I'm trying to change it. I have an inherent disrespect for people I don't whose verbal skills, basically verbal intelligence, isn't at my level.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
that's
it's
wrong.
Well, that's not right because people talk different ways. But
that's what I'm saying. It's wrong, and I know it. That's the difference
but it's
between
not,
me and them. Is their creed is that their verbal intelligence is a sure sign of who you're dealing with.
Well, yeah. I see what you mean. Like, it's because of the class and the intellect level, but also you're dealing
it's
with
a way of quickly sizing people up and dismissing them without ever having to get to know them.
I think it was Bertrand Russell who said that people would be that the rich are like a breed in their own. They're actually like a breed as opposed to like a class. They're more like a breed. It might have been Aldous Huxley. Anyway, one of them said that, and that might be true to them. They believe that they are better than we are, and that they deserve to rule over us, and we're just stupid animals that go along with what they, useless eaters go along with what they want. Sadly, it's true, but to make it happen, they've done a lot of things, like this MK Ultra thing. For example, they use a lot of this occultic symbolism. Sort of like the Gnostics, the ancient mystical groups, saw butterflies as a symbol of corrupt flesh and the angel of death. So that whole concept in Gnostic art would portray the angel of death crushing the butterfly, right? Well, under these projects, these sub-projects, these MK Ultra slaves, there's a symbolic thing with the monarch butterfly. And a lot of them have relationships to these triggers. And the triggers are like programmed into them. I'm going to go into how this happens. Now, Project MK Ultra, during the process, it was like basically it was a satanic ritual, usually using Kabbalistic mysticism, which is the mystery school religions that they believe in, and it's performed with the purpose of attaching a particular demon or a group of demons to these altars, because they create an altered mind. This is really very, very interesting. Now, again, I'll get you some sources on this. Another way to examine it is the victim is called a slave by the programmer or a handler who is perceived as a master or a god. Most of these are 75% are female, since they possess a higher tolerance for pain and tend to disassociate easier than males. Subjects are used mainly for cover operations, prostitution, and pornography. Involvement in the entertainment industry is also notable. A former military officer connected to the DIA noted that in the big picture, these people are from all walks of life, from the bum on the street to the white-collar guy. Many are celebrities. People like Britney Spears, Al Roker, the Clinton piece that where he's mind-controlled, Al Roker going into a trance, Britney Spears having her personality splits. Her alter comes out right on an interview with Diane Sawyer. This is all famous stuff. These are all mind-controlled drones, and they're used as plants or chameleons for the purpose of infiltrating either a group or gathering information or some other agenda. So it's usually for propaganda purposes. And believe me, these people have infiltrated Hollywood. Roseanne came out about this, and I was like shocked to hear about that. If you remember that, she actually came out about this, Roseanne Barr, about MK Ultra.
Tom Cruise there?
Tom Cruise and Scientology is Satanism. I mean, if you're talking about like whether you believe in Satanism or not, or Hermeticism, whatever you want to call it, because L. Ron Hubbard was a follower of Aleister Crowley, and Crowley was a Satanist, avowed, self-avowed, self-appointed, self-said. He called himself the Beast 666. So, like I said, these people believe these things, and it's again another religion. It's mind control. I think it's all part of this whole package. The Church of Scientology, especially. I mean, people have. It's very much a similar environment that was used in MK Ultra, definitely, for mind controlling their flock. So there's my answer on that one.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. See, what happens usually is
Hermes.
Hermeticism.
I can't even say that word.
Hermes Trismegistus.
Yeah. This Wikipedia, Hermeticism, also called Hermetism, is a religious and philosophical tradition based primarily upon writings attributed to
Hermes Trismegistus.
and in quotes, thrice great, 3 times great. These writings have greatly influenced the Western esoteric tradition. Is this related to theosophy at all?
Yeah, sure. Theosophy, Freemasonry, sure.
Okay.
It's all the same. It is, yeah. Well, again, the whole thing was Lucifer, and Lucifer is their true God. That's the point of this whole thing. When you break it down, in fact, I think that Madame Blavatsky,
yes.
her writings, she even had a paper. I think it was actually the paper was called Lucifer, the Lucifer or something like that. Actually, the name of the newsletter, whatever, Lucifer. No, yeah, it's all about the same things. It's this kind of it's this mystery religion of Babylon, and they believe in these things, and they're the people with the money. They're making things happen. They're, and if you fall into their prey, you become a victim of a lot of these famous people that we see. They come to all these terrible, tragic ends, and crazy things happen, and all of these. It's not what it appears to on the level. There's over 100,000 people participated in MK Ultra. One of the bad things happened with it was somebody like Ted Kaczynski, who was a genius. He went to Harvard. He was 16, and by the time he was in his 20s, he was blowing people up because of the dangers of technology to freedom and humanity. Isn't that interesting? That was his reason. And he just came out and blowing people up in the woods. And he was an MK Ultra volunteer. Ken Kesey was as I mentioned earlier, was a
like the Kool-Aid acid test.
That's right. He went around. The CIA supplied him with the LSD to dose the world. The United States, at least.
There's a connection between the Grateful Dead and this threat.
Robert Hunter. That's right.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Did you not know that?
No.
Oh, wow. This is good. All right. Yeah. In fact, why don't you cue up the song? Go to YouTube, Keith. Cue up U.S. Blues by the Grateful Dead. Yeah. In fact, and then play that. Just play it while we're talking. Yeah. That is an interesting story. So, yes, he was also
Robert Hunter co-wrote a lot of songs with Jerry Garcia.
Yes, he was a CIA asset, an agent, whatever, and yeah.
Now that's rather stunning.
Stunning, isn't it? And I'll give you some. I have actually information on this. I wrote about this before. I've written an article on this. There's U.S. Blues. All right, so here's what happened. So let's see. Robert Hunter.
Give me 5. I'm still alive. Ain't no luck. I learned to duck.
So anyway, this guy, he wrote a bunch of tunes for the Grateful Dead. Let me get it. So, Grateful Dead. Here we go. Found it. Robert Hunter. Robert Hunter is an American lyricist, singer-songwriter, translator, and poet, best known for his association with Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead. Along with Ken Kesey, Hunter was an early volunteer for MK Ultra test subjects at Stanford University. Stanford test subjects were paid to take LSD, psilocybin, and mescaline, and then report on their experiences. These experiences were creatively formative for Hunter. So yeah, he.
Well, this is Wikipedia. Someone edited this article. Is this factual?
Yeah, it's true. It's in books. Yeah, it's not. You don't have to just go to Wikipedia. There's other links. Just fast link right there.
No, I know, but I'm just curious.
Oh,
if you
it's absolutely
have a
true.
reference point.
There's actually if you just go to the
Oh,
bottom.
see, he was a volunteer at Stanford. Now that makes sense. That
that's
makes
right.
a lot of sense due to Stanford's location.
It's all in
and,
books. A Box of Rain, his own book, talks about it. And
excellent song, by the way.
yeah.
Supposedly he wrote that song about his dying father.
Well, the part about this is that he talks about it. The line that's interesting is, "Here I am with Uncle Sam hiding out in a rock and roll band." That's the clue.
Right. Just put it in there and laugh at your face.
That's
in
the
other
clue.
words,
He was a CIA operative.
Grateful Dead steal your face.
But also, when you break it this way, I was like, what about the Grateful Dead? What about the interesting fact that it's the Grateful Dead and it happens to have a skull?
Yeah.
As we're just talking about Skull and Bones and the Thule Society.
Absolutely,
and Same concept of the skull, literally, and bones. So, yes, there could
So
very
those
well
aren't
be
the guys that carry skis on the top of their cars, the Thule racks?
Actually, it probably is the same family.
Think so?
Sure. Yeah, how many families could be named Thule?
Yeah, right.
But yes, that's right. That is
They're excellent racks.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, they probably have the market on it, right? That's what everyone you don't see.
We got to get one for the bikes, RBI.
But yeah, Robert Hunter, and the beautiful thing about it is that it was like, it's like all part of this whole thing. They went around turning everybody on, and nobody suspected a thing, that it was the CIA behind all of it.
Yeah, the mysticism
they were behind it all.
In his Reuben and Cherise song, the mysticism in that song is. The symbols are very interesting.
Yep, Blues for Allah. I mean, you can go into a lot of stuff with the Grateful Dead about the mysteries and everything else. They knew what was going on. They were like, they were enlightened. They were illumined.
I usually think about the Dead in terms of the music absent the words, absent the lyrics. But you're right, when you add those lyrics, you're dealing with a whole different level of human thought, a whole different direction, content. Which the music itself is devoid of. You got drums, guitars, and things that are abstractions that can't possibly convey twisted messages like, if you don't suck on a bone, you're going to fail to ward off the evil spirit, kind of thing.
Well, like I said, they have all these different things. They had all these different Operation Climax where they had prostitutes dose their Johns and while they were watching them through two-way mirrors. The CIA has done unbelievable shit. And then, of course, the torture and mind control experiments of Dr. Ewan Cameron cannot be dismissed either. That was horrible what he did. But let's talk about how this mind control works. Like, there are 6 levels of MK Ultra programming. That's the alpha level, the beta level, the delta level, the theta level, and the gamma level. The alpha level is regarded as general or regular programming within the base control personality, characterized by extremely pronounced memory retention. So something is put very deeply into your mind, along with substantially increased physical strength and visual acuity. Alpha programming is accomplished through deliberately subdividing the victim's personality, which, in essence, causes a left brain, right brain division, allowing for the programmed union of left and right through neuron pathway stimulation. Then beta is referred to as sexual programming. This programming eliminates all learned moral convictions and stimulates the primitive sexual instinct, devoid of inhibitions. Cat alters may come out at this level. So the betas, a lot of these porn stars are betas, and they also have, if you notice in their on their tramp stamps, it's usually a butterfly. Anyway, Delta, this is also known as killer programming. Remember the Delta Force, right? Killer programming, Delta. Originally developed for training special agents or elite soldiers, Delta Force, 1st Earth Battalion, Mossad, etc., in covert operations. Optimal adrenal output and controlled aggression is evident. Subjects are devoid of fear, very systematic in carrying out their assignment. They self-destruct or suicide upon instructions that are layered in at this level. Then there's the Theta, considered as the psychic programming. Bloodliners who come from multi-generational satanic families were determined to exhibit a greater propensity for having telepathic abilities. This is very true, by the way, than did non-bloodliners. Due to its evident limitations, however, various forms of electronic mind control systems were developed and introduced, namely biomedical human telemetry devices, brain implants, directed energy lasers using microwaves and/or electromagnetics. It is reported that these are used in conjunction with highly advanced computers and sophisticated satellite tracking systems. Yeah, this is some heavy shit when you're under theta programming. Then there's Omega, a self-destruct form of programming known as the code green. This corresponds behaviors include suicidal tendencies or self-mutilation. The program is generally activated when the victim survivor begins therapy or interrogation and too much memory is being recovered. Now, this shit all came out. I mean, this is unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, how can you dismiss...
Do you have a website for what you're reading off of right now, or is that private?
No, this is particularly my notes that I put for today, but I'll send links. Links will be on howardnema.com. Link to this broadcast, and I'll put all the links, the books I talked about as well. And I know he's been doing that. I usually do that as well.
Can you spell your domain?
Howard Nema, NEMA.com. And yeah, this is probably from a Fritz Springmeier book, How to Create a Undetectable Mind Control Slave, or from Bloodlines of the Illuminati, one of those two books. And these are all books you should just peruse, just make your own assessment as to what's really going on here. But I'm showing you the connections. Paperclip comes into this whole thing, like with these triggers for these slaves that they put together in all these different states. The other state is gamma programming, which is another form of system protection through deception programming, which elicits misinformation and misdirection. See, someone that's gamma programmed is designed, if they have to, they're designed to pretty much spew off information that's not accurate. And this level is intertwined with demonology and tends to regenerate itself later if something inappropriately happens. This is like when these people go into these meltdowns. A good example of it would be...
how far can a person be co-opted into this without even being aware of it, having any, conscious connection with these people?
Well, it does entail, at the very least, initially it entailed usually weeks of literal programming.
Okay, so they would be consciously aware that they were, for example, walking into a government facility and...
well, no, probably not. They might be. Well, if you go into Ewan Cameron's work, and what he did was he would put people to sleep for like 40 days and put like helmets on, football helmets with speakers, and for 23 hours play loops of stuff over and over.
My God!
Oh my God! Oh, this is all really on record, man. This is what
awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Sorry, I mean
it's like in the movies, man.
It's filthy.
In fact, everything that's happening in the movies is real. Especially what they do in these movies when they show the CIA torturing people. It's even worse than that, ladies and gentlemen. And they always want to make the CIA look good. They always try to make them look good, right? Like they're the good guys. They are far from the good guys, ladies and gentlemen. No.
Are there any good guys?
I only individuals. There are good individuals, not but the collective is pretty deadly. But as we see, there are many ways that they do this. Severe trauma is induced through electroshock, sexual abuse, and other methods to split the mind into alternative personalities from the core. Formerly referred to as multiple personality disorder, it is presently recognized as dissociative identity disorder and is the basis for this programming. Further conditioning of the victim's mind is enhanced through hypnotism, double bind coercion, pleasure pain reversals, food, water, sleep, and sensory deprivation, along with various drugs which can alter certain cerebral functions. So you are picked, prodded, and tortured while you're being mind controlled. And then you remember none of this when it's all done until there's a trigger event or a word or something. The next stage is to embed and compress details, commands, or messages within the specified alter. This is achieved through the use of high-tech headsets in conjunction with computer-driven generators which emit inaudible sound waves or harmonics that affect the RNA covering the neuron pathways into the subconscious and unconscious mind. I mean, this is some heavy stuff. Virtual reality opticals devices are sometimes used simultaneously with harmonic generators projecting pulsating colored lights, subliminals, and split-screen visuals. High-voltage electroshock is then used for memory dissolution. Programming is updated periodically and reinforced through visual, auditory, and written mediums. Some of the first programming themes included The Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland, both heavily saturated with occult symbolism. Many of the recent Disney movies and cartoons are used in a twofold manner, desensitizing the majority of the population using subliminals and neurolinguistic programming, deliberately constructing specific triggers and keys for base programming of highly impressionable children. It's not really Monarch, it's these MK Ultra drones. These kids that grow up like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, you know, they all turn into these, you know, very, very different little girls. And you say, oh, it's just because they're growing up. It's the kids today. No. It's worse than that. Now, music plays an instrumental role in programming through the combinations of variable tones, rhythms, and words. So do many films that contain base programming symbolism. Much of the DNA, cloning, and genetic alterations that were championed today, that we're doing today, talking about this stuff today, remember? About the guy with the bionic penis.
No, I don't remember that story at all.
That, you know, these are a direct result of Nazi experiments going back in time. And paperclip operative Dr. Green, who was also known as Dr. Joseph Mengele, his direct involvement at the infamous Auschwitz concentration camp, he was downplayed during the trials. If you look into history at the Nuremberg trials, because he was necessary for our government. His I love you not Daisy game was part of his mind control programming. When he pulled off the last daisy petal, he would maliciously torture and kill a small child in front of the other child he was programming. Distraught survivors also recall being thrown naked into cages with monkeys who were trained to viciously abuse them. Evidently, Mengele enjoyed reducing people to the level of animals. He would purposely restrain his victims from crying, screaming, or showing any excessive emotion. Another fiend, not any better than Mengele, was Dr. Ewan Cameron, known as Dr. White. Cameron was the former head of the Canadian, American, and World Psychiatric Associations, but you'll see him nowhere now. He's pretty much been erased from the history books, ladies and gentlemen. But he was these things. The experiments that he did were at several locations in Montreal, mostly at McGill University, St. Mary's Hospital, and Allen Memorial Institute. Besides the conventional methods of psychiatric tyranny, such as electroshock, drug injections, and lobotomies, Cameron conceived the technique of psychic driving, wherein unsuspecting patients were kept in a drug-induced coma for several weeks and administered a regimen of electroshocks, while electronic helmets were strapped on their heads, and repetitive auditory messages were transmitted at variable speeds. How nice. Many of those exploited were children were abused that had been run through the Roman Catholic orphanage system. Sickly enough, right? Not surprisingly, Dr. Cameron has been conveniently left out of most psychiatric journals. But he was at the time, man, he was the #1 guy. Then you have this guy, Michael Aquino, the former U.S. Lieutenant Colonel in the Psychological Warfare Division, who we're talking about Psy-War, right? Psyops. Well, this guy was the one who wrote the paper on it. And his government-sponsored sadism. Aquino was an eccentric genius obsessed with Nazi pagan rituals, and he founded the Temple of Set, an offshoot of Anton LaVey's Church of Satan. Aquino was connected with the Presidio Army-based daycare scandal. Remember that, when those kids were all molested and put through sexual abuse and all of that? It was famous in the 80s. And he was accused of child molestation. And much to the dismay of the young victims, all the charges were dismissed. Of course, Aquino got away with it. And this continues down the road. These places where these attacks occurred were all black sites where other operations were going on. The names and locations of some of the major institutions involved in these programming experiments were Cornell University, Duke, Princeton, UCLA, University of Rochester, MIT, Georgetown University Hospital, Maimonides Medical Center, St. Elizabeth's Hospital in Washington, D.C., Bell Laboratories, Stanford Research Institute, Westinghouse Friendship Laboratories, General Electric, ARCO, Mankind Research Unlimited. The final product was, and usually is, created on military installations and bases where maximum security is required, referred to as reprogramming centers or near-death trauma centers, and they are most heavily defined as places such as the Presidio, Fort Detrick, Fort Campbell, Fort Hood, Fort Lewis, Redstone Arsenal. Interesting, Fort Hood. Shootings were there and all these other places. And these MK Ultra shootings today, I think, are very prevalent. We have these especially these the random shootings of these kids that are just going nuts and shooting people. It's all evidence of being trauma-based mind control at one point. I bet if you looked into their backgrounds, these kids, somewhere in the back of their history, they were, targeted. Over 100,000 people were. 100,000 people are not just sitting around, nothing happening to them. Many people flip all the time. They come out. Google it. It happens constantly. Meltdowns, MK Ultra meltdowns. It'll show you a whole list of them. People, it's not just famous people. It's every type of person. It's like a bizarre, insane experiment that most of the records were destroyed in 1973. Only 20,000 remain because it was so horrible and heinous. And this is all that was deduced from what we found. So, can you imagine? MK Ultra used hypnosis, sensory deprivation, isolation, verbal and sexual abuse, LSD, torture. It's unbelievable. And in 1975, the Church Committee of the U.S. Congress and Gerald Ford's Commission to investigate CIA activities in the United States investigated. And it's an unbelievable record. Do you have the clips there? You should play those clips. It's a good time to play those clips. Whichever one. One of them is about how the CIA controls the media, and the other one is about MK Ultra.
I already have one up ready loaded.
Yep. Let's do them.
Oh, I gotta shut off the music. All right, hold on.
I thought that it was a matter of real concern that planted stories intended to serve a national purpose abroad came home and were circulated here and believed here, because this would mean that the CIA could manipulate the news in the United States by channeling it through some foreign country. Now, we're looking at that very carefully.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
Do you have any
Yeah,
people
over 400 writers, ladies and
paid
gentlemen.
by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole News and Public Affairs operation in 1954, the ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them.
We have quite a lot of detailed information, and we will evaluate it, and we will include any evidence of wrongdoing or any evidence of impropriety in our final report and make recommendations.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to the national news services, AP and UPI?
Well, again, I think we're getting into the kind of detail, Mr. Chairman, that I'd prefer to handle in executive
Over
session.
400 people, ladies and
Senator,
gentlemen.
do you think that you named
400
the
writers.
That remains to be decided.
I think it was entirely in order for our correspondents at that time to make use of CIA agent chiefs of station and other members of the executive staff of CIA as sources of information which were useful in their assessments of world conditions.
Would you say that continues today?
Well, I would think probably for a reporter it would continue today, but because of all of the revelations of the period of the 1970s, it seems to me that a reporter's got to be much more circumspect in doing it now, or he runs the risk of at least being looked at with considerable disfavor by the public. I think you've got to be much more careful about it.
Everyone's watching, reality shows and football games. It's football season. They're already like, oh, everyone's can't wait. They're already starting the football, the preseason. It's unbelievable, but we have a lot of these investigations lead nowhere because the elite are so powerful and the people are so weak. It's sad as hell. It really is sad as hell. So, Project MK Ultra, continues. We can see many lone nut attacks recently. These nut jobs. James Holmes, Virginia school shooter, all affected by drugs, affected by psychotropic drugs they're put on. I mean, this is all a relation. You have really, literally mind-controlled kids, students, people like Hinckley, classic MK Ultra. In fact, his brother was having dinner with Neil Bush at the time of that, if you could believe it, at the time that Reagan was shot. Then you have Mark David Chapman, who was another MK Ultra suspect who shot John Lennon. It's a long list of these things. Sirhan, who doesn't remember anything. He shot Robert Kennedy. But it's all like, it's conspiracy theories because they have plausible deniability because, but the coincidence level is ridiculous. But you have to come to your own conclusions, your own thoughts, your own understanding as to the things we're discussing here. But it's important to try to do it. I mean, no one wants to talk about these things. Look, the CIA is not our friend. The governments want to take away our rights for the rights of the collective, taxing us out of existence while they manipulate currency. And these people that I'm talking about here, these New World Order people, Kissinger and his kind, and the Rothschilds and their kind, the central bankers, the liars, the manipulators. Okay. So next week, I'm hoping that we have some stability in the markets, and hopefully the world will not go into any more turmoil. Lord knows, without any help at all, there's plenty to talk about. This vast, wide spider web of evil that meets in the middle. It's all here. And it's just an unbelievable fact we have to deal with, that they are working to destroy our borders, take away the rights of the individual, give foreigners rights over Americans, and make us look like the bad guy for complaining. Stand up for our country, stand up for the Constitution, or we won't have a country. I mean, it's coming to the point where the people are not paying attention to what's happening, and we're losing our rights. We're losing our culture. Speaking our mind, I mean, the Founding Fathers are looked at as the enemy. Why would the one successful experiment in history to create wealth for the average person in all of history, human history, be the problem now? How can all of the years of being under the thumb of monarchs and kings and queens and shahs and all these other controllers, these tyrants, how can that be beneficial? Lenin, Stalin, Mao, how can that be better than freedom? Real true freedom, where The government is actually protecting your rights, not taking them away. Protecting your property, not seizing it. That's what we need. That's what this country needs. And we have to address the real issues, which are our borders, our language, and our culture. Without those things, America is nothing else. It's just a cesspool, a third world cesspool, as it's turning into. But we can make a change. We can turn this country around as quickly as they destroyed it. I mean, they've destroyed it in the last 8 years, 12 years. I mean, since 9/11, it's just been downhill. It's not the Republicans, it's not the Democrats, it's the New World Order, it's these elitists. They're figuring every way that they can steal the wealth of this nation. And they're doing it. And we're letting it happen. So that has to change. And the only way it'll change is if people are aware of what's going on. If you don't know your enemy, how can you fight it? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you guys next week. Normally, 1 to 3 p.m., Saturdays, here on UnitedFMRadio.com. I want to thank Keith, and I'm sorry, your full, huh? The Gecko. You just go as the Gecko. You just call you are the Gecko. Okay, and the Gecko who was chiming in today, and of course Mel over there producing. Until next week, see you all. Hey, why don't you play out that Five Finger Death Punch song? I love that song.
Which one?
The Freedom, the Freedom song, whatever, whichever one. Be a good one. Okay, guys. So next week I'm going to just go over the news. Hopefully we won't have anything major crisis happen. I'm not looking for this. I'm just trying to prepare for it. And research everything that I talk about. Check out Truth Talk News on YouTube and howardnema.com. A lot of information there you can get, a lot of links to all sources. And stay healthy. God bless you all. Until next week.
A company always on the run, a destiny, oh, it's the rising sun. I was born a shotgun in my hands, behind the gun, I'll make my final stand. Yeah, and that's why they call me bad company. I can't deny bad company till the day I die. Until the day I die. Until the day I die. Rebel souls, deserters we've been called. Chose a gun and threw away the sun. Now these towns, well, they all know our name. The death punch sound is our claim to fame. And that's why they call me bad company. I can't deny bad company till the day I die. Until the day I die. Until the day I die. Until the day I die. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, blood for blood. We've all gotta die. And that's why they call me